We were one small boat, but we carried, I think, all of humanity's message with us. It was a boat for the children. We carried baby formula. We carried teddy bears donated from the children of Italy, and Israel attacked that ship. And I have been sailing since 2008. Unfortunately, that's when we first tried to sail to break the siege of Gaza. Israel has arrested, it has beaten, it has seriously injured, and it has killed even 10 of our volunteers before. They literally tried to force people to take food and water from them as they filmed, and we rejected it.
You being a leader of a major movement for Palestine, how do you plan to bridge this gap between a good public opinion and the worst possible public policy?
We're not asking you recognize a Palestinian state, because what does that mean when Israel continues to do what it's doing? What we need is for you to stop cooperating with Israel. We need these countries to sanction Israel.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Network Television. This is Mujahid Talk, and I'm Abdul Malik Mujahid. With us today is Huwaida Arraf. Huwaida is a Palestinian-American based in Detroit, a human rights attorney, and co-founder of International Solidarity Movement, a Palestinian-led organization. Today is the 700th day of genocide in Gaza. Total number killed are still being reported around 64,000, but many scholarly opinion have come out that they are close to 400,000 or so. Injured, of course, are noted to be 161,000. Children who have been killed are 18,430. You don't hear much about in our media. The result is a result of an effort by Israel to kill journalists and media workers. 197 of them are confirmed to be killed by Israel. There's not enough food, so there is hunger and starvation, and famine has been declared. But not much attention is going towards medicine. When a person has reached the level of starvation, food itself will not do. Food needs to be sort of medicated under the supervision of physicians. But health workers and hospitals have been killed and destroyed. 1,400 Palestinian health workers have died. And people are looking for food anywhere they can find. And when they look for a food, a particular place, which is designed by Israel and America, close to 2,000 have been killed and 4,000 had been injured while trying to seek a food, standing in line. But something needs to be done, and Huwaida Arraf is a part of an effort. There is a ship sailing, about 50 ships right now, 50 plus ships are sailing towards Gaza. It has delegation from 44 countries, and it has food and medicine to break the Gaza blockade. 2 days from now, on September 7th, they're expected to sail from the port of Catania in Sicily and Tunis, and joining the people already floating towards Gaza to break the blockade. Welcome to Muslim Network TV.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us, what are you hearing about this current effort? Where are they?
Well, this Global Sumud Flotilla is really a response to a call that we have been putting out for years, I'm sad to say, because while the alarms are being sounded now, the siege on Gaza is not new, and we had tried to encourage organizations and states to break the siege for years. And this is why we founded the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, which I'll talk more about. But the Global Sumud Flotilla right now is this incredible response of global civil society They set sail a few days ago on August 31st from Barcelona. They are headed to, they are right now almost to Tunis. They will be hopefully joined by more boats in Tunis and then go on to Catania and then continue on the Mediterranean. There are also boats in, well, Catania is in Sicily, of course, and then you have more that plan to join also along the way in Greece and make their way to Gaza. In total, some boats had to turn back because of bad weather. They're being repaired right now, and hopefully they will catch up. But regardless, you have dozens and dozens of boats by global civil society because our governments aren't doing it. Shamefully, they should not, for all of these years, been accepting Israel's illegal blockade. But global civil society really trying to break this blockade, tear down the walls of this extermination camp that Israel and the United States have built. And we will keep on, even as the boats are sailing now, there are more boats being prepared for after. What we know is that we cannot stop.
We cannot stop, but Israel, who is killing people, do they care for flotillas? Will they abide by any respectable treatment in the international law, or they will treat flotilla just like anything else they have been doing?
Israel definitely does not respect international law. What Israel cares about is projecting itself as this law-abiding society. And so I was recently on a boat that attempted to also reach Gaza and break this siege. It was called the Handala. It was a mission for the children of Gaza. We were one small boat, but we carried, I think, all of humanity's message with us. It was a boat for the children. We carried baby formula. We carried teddy bears donated from the children of Italy, and Israel attacked that ship. And before they attacked it, though, they got on the radio and they were trying to say that they are abiding by international law, that they are enforcing a maritime blockade. But this blockade is illegal. It is a form of collective punishment, is being used as a tool of genocide. We see that it has been used to engineer a famine. And Israel has no legal authority to control Gaza whatsoever. The International Court of Justice last year made it clear that Israel's entire presence in all of the occupied Palestinian territory is illegal, and states must do everything they can to pressure Israel to end it. But not only have states not been doing anything to pressure Israel, they have been complying, they have been complicit with Israel. So they have been allowing Israel to dictate what humanitarian aid can get into Gaza. And so when they try to tell the world that they have a lawful blockade and they are legally trying to enforce it, this is an absolute lie. But we know that all of Israel's statements, all of Israel's justifications are lies meant to keep the world complacent, meant to allow them to continue to do what they've been doing for decades, which is trying to get rid of the Palestinian people as a whole. The world must understand that Israel is not just one party in a conflict. Israel is a settler colonial project that was founded on a territory where people were living and thriving. And in order to found and to maintain their state, they needed to get rid of the people who were there already. And they got rid of hundreds of thousands when Israel was established in 1948. They killed about 15,000. They decimated 500 villages and kicked out 750,000 Palestinians. A few remained, and then Israel put them under this militarized regime. And through the years, they have been trying to slowly get rid of them by making it very difficult for people to stay on their land. And that continues. And because the world has never held Israel accountable, never made Israel abide by international law, it has now escalated to where it has accelerated this attempt to annihilate the Palestinian people, which is why we see the devastation that you articulated at the start of this show, this live stream genocide. And if we don't stand up, it will it will continue until there is no one left. So yes, they tell the world that they are abiding by international law, but Israel has absolutely no justification for what it is doing. Its very existence is anathema. It is it is an affront to international law, because it exists not because they are Jewish people or want to exist as Jews in Palestine. No, not at all. But because their existence is founded on, again, settler colonialism, on annihilating another people, and to maintain this ethno-religious supremacy. These are things that we reject. And in our campaigning, we call for actually respecting international law, human rights for everybody, a world where everybody is treated equally, can live in freedom and dignity. So what will Israel do with the boats? I think that is your question. Through the years, and I have been sailing since 2008. Unfortunately, that's when we first tried to sail to break the siege of Gaza. Israel has arrested, it has beaten, it has seriously injured, and it has killed even 10 of our volunteers before. What it will do this time, we don't know. Statements are coming out from Israeli officials indicating that they will torture. Actually, people have said that it will throw internationals into these torture chambers that they have. It depends on how much the world actually pressures Israel to stop these violations. So we need to just keep the pressure up, and as these people are sailing, continue to put pressure on Israel to end its crimes. But it has
when
tried.
you were in July on a Handala ship, when they say that they're abiding by the international law, what was your response and how they responded to your response?
Yeah, so I am an international human rights lawyer, and so I knew that what they were spewing was propaganda and it was lies, and I thought it was important to make sure that they know that I think they must know that they're lying, but I, of course, wanted to make it clear. So I told them very clearly that the blockade that they're claiming to be lawfully enforcing is illegal, because it is a form of collective punishment, and collective punishment is not only illegal, but it is a war crime. Because Israel is an occupying power, and according to the law, they actually have a responsibility to the occupied civilian population to see to their safety and well-being. And instead of doing that, Israel has long abdicated that responsibility. And on top of that, it has been attacking. It has been using brute military force against a population that they are occupying. And so collective punishment, on top of the collective punishment, we see they have been using illegal military force to attack, kill, maim, starve people. This is all illegal. And so I said that you actually have a responsibility for the safety and well-being of the people you are occupying, and you are violating that. And on top of that, you are threatening to attack a civilian ship that constitutes no threat to you. Under international law, civilian vessels have a right to free navigation, to peaceful navigation in international waters. And we were in international waters when Israel threatened us and when they attacked us. So they had no right to touch us in international waters. And even if we managed to breach the blockade to enter Palestinian waters, again, they had no right to attack us or stop us. Because their blockade is illegal, they have no right to enforce the blockade. You have no legal right to enforce an unlawful blockade. And because you cannot lawfully enforce an unlawful blockade, you can't use military force to enforce an unlawful blockade. Again, so I said this over the VHF radio, over which the Israeli Navy was communicating with us. And of course, they had no response. So they did not respond to us, but they continued. We saw on our radar until they then kind of disabled our radar, and then they jammed our navigation, our GPS, and they cut off our internet and all of our communications before they assaulted us. But they stopped communicating with us, but we saw that on the GPS, again, before they cut off, that we were surrounded. So I just, at that time, directed everybody to prepare for an imminent attack. And we had been preparing for different scenarios. And so we just got into place with our life jackets on and all together to prepare for their assault on our ship.
You're watching Muslim Network TV, and we'll be right back after these messages. This is Mujahid Talks with Muslim Network TV, and this is Abdul Malik Mujahid, and I'm talking with Huwaida Arraf, who is a leader and co-founder of International Solidarity Movement. And in July, she was on a ship to challenge the blockade of Gaza, which is going on for years and years, making life miserable. And it was attacked. So when they attacked, what was the nature of attack and how the peace movement people responded to it?
So we had a situation where our one boat, we had 21 civilians on it, and we were only carrying humanitarian aid for Gaza. We were surrounded by naval warships belonging to one of the most brutal militaries in the world. They had they had jammed our GPS, they had jammed our VHF radio, they had jammed our or disabled our radar, and they cut off all of our communications. And then all of these, I think dozens, I lost count of armed and masked commando forces jumped on our ship. We know that we are no match militarily. We were unarmed, nonviolent. And so we just sat together and we actually put our arms out, our hands out to indicate that they should not, they should stay off our ship. Of course, they did not respect that. They jumped on our ships. It was interesting to note that in addition to all of their weapons that they were carrying and their guns, and we could see their concussion grenades and other things, they also had cameras. They had their GoPro cameras and other cameras. And so it looked like they were filming a propaganda piece for themselves. And so you could tell by the way they were talking, they were trying to say, don't be afraid, and we have food and water for you, as they were filming. And of course, we knew that they would try to do that. And so we declared earlier that if they attacked our ship and if they prevented us from reaching Gaza, that we were going on a hunger strike and we were stop taking food and water. We are not going to take anything from them. And we told them that also, that we are not taking anything from you, a party that is actively starving Palestinian children to death. Our lives are not more valuable than the lives of all of the Palestinians that you are starving, and we are not going to be a part of your propaganda video. So they literally tried to force people to take food and water from them as they filmed, and we rejected it. They continued to film as they searched all of us. They took our belongings. Of course, the first thing they look for and try to take away from you is any kind of communication equipment, any kind of cameras. They took everything away from us, and they took possession of our boat, the Handala, and took it to the Israeli port of Ashdod. So at that point, we had been abducted. Israel abducted 21 internationals. We were from 12 different countries, from international waters, and took us against our will to the Israeli port of Ashdod, at which then you had other Israeli officials waiting. You had police and you had immigration officials. Myself, I have Israeli citizenship, and so I was separated from most of the rest of the crew who were dealt with by immigration officials. It's important to note that once their cameras were turned off, there were cameras at the port waiting, but once people were out of the line of those cameras, they became very violent. One of our crew members, Chris Smalls, who is an American citizen, union labor organizer, he was African American, and he was treated especially violently. He has been talking about the very racist attack that he endured, and everybody else, from humiliating strip search to verbal to also physical abuse once the cameras were turned off.
Tell me this, you're working on this cause for a long period of time. Your family moved to raise you in Detroit because of whatever they were doing to Palestinians in the occupied territories. Now, thanks to your effort, the effort of a whole lot of people, primarily, of course, the Palestinian who continue to struggle for freedom and dignity and equal rights in the occupied territories, world knows about it. World opinion is changing. Opinion in America is changing. Jewish children, young Jewish people who are younger than 30, even Christian evangelical who are under 30, their opinion is changing. But on one side, we have the good public opinion, but America and its policy as the strongest ally of America is not changing. You being a leader of a major movement for Palestine, how do you plan to bridge this gap between a good public opinion and the worst possible public policy?
That is a great question. And I think that's what everyone is asking. And this is what I say. Well, first of all, let me say, thank you for your kind words. I don't see that myself as a leader at all, but one of the many, many people who are working to change policy. And what's important is that so many different people are involved and so many different actions are being taken at all different levels. So wherever people are, and I think that's important to know, wherever you are, you can make a change. You can be part of this movement. You don't have to. It's great to belong to organizations, but as much as you can do as an individual, and that can be something as easy as just talking to your neighbor, educating people about it. You can join collective actions. I've certainly been blessed to be a part of and work with so many great people on the initiatives that I have been a part of, but it all works together. So we need those people who are on the ground taking direct action, those boats trying to break the siege on Gaza. We have internationals that have joined us in the occupied West Bank as part of the international solidarity movement to be with Palestinians there trying to stay on their land. But we have in the educational sphere the film and art and in labor organizing, people where they are doing things to change policy. So how do we change policy is your question. And you're right, we are up against this situation where overwhelmingly the world is horrified and is opposed to what Israel and the United States and some other Western countries are doing and are supporting. But our leaders, or global leaders, especially Western countries, are trying to tell us that our voices don't matter, because even as millions march in the streets, they are still following policy that allows Israel to continue. And this is what is so dangerous. It sends a message to everyone that our voices don't matter and that international law doesn't matter. Protections for humanity doesn't matter. And it's only brutal force and military might that's important, because the United States has the most powerful military in the world and is supporting Israel, that they can do what they want. And we must continue to reject that, and we must organize. So it starts with education and then getting involved at every level. So, for example, in the United States, we have to change the way our politicians are voting. And that is happening. We see the public pressure. We see good people who actually represent our values running for office, and we need to be involved there. We also need to recognize that a lot of what fuels this occupation and colonization is the imperialism and capitalism, and it is companies and corporations and financial incentives. And so a really easy way for people to be involved, and it makes a big difference, is boycott, divestment, and sanctions. And there are resources that people can look into to figure out how they can be involved in boycotting and divesting from the corporations and the entities that are profiting from this evil, from this genocide, and working together that way. So your question is, I think, facing everyone today is like, we're all rising up. How come we haven't changed things? We have to keep on, because things are changing. And we are seeing some countries that are now feeling pressured to make certain moves or to say certain things, but we must not accept it as enough. And I'll end with this, for example, with France or the UK or Canada telling us that they're going to now recognize a Palestinian state. Don't let them off the hook. No, that's not what we're asking. We're not asking you recognize a Palestinian state, because what does that mean when Israel continues to do what it's doing? What we need is for you to stop cooperating with Israel. We need these countries to sanction Israel. So as these countries try to placate us, try to pretend that they're doing something, let's not let them off the hook. Let's keep up this pressure. So we'll keep organizing votes. We'll keep organizing the demonstrations in the streets. We'll keep organizing to divest at every level, in your workplace, in your school, in your universities. This is a moment where global civil society has to come together. And that means every single one of us doing what we can to reject this world order that Israel and the United States are trying to impose on us, because everybody's safety is at risk. Today, it's Palestinians. Tomorrow, it could be any one of us.
What is the state of solidarity at this time with Flotilla? In the past, I mean, you have been doing it for a while. Do you think more people are standing up in support? I saw a news item that Italian dock workers have threatened to shut down all of Europe if Gaza aid flotilla is blocked. Do you find a higher level of support this time as compared to the earlier journeys which you have taken to end the blockade?
Well, absolutely. So many people have responded to this call, and ships and groups are trying to join and do what they can. And it's important to note that a number of ships, large number of ships, is important for sure, but that's not the only way that people can be involved in this. And as you mentioned, Italian dock workers threatened that if Israel attacks the ships, or even if cuts off their communications, then they will take action. They will strike, and this is, again, each one of us has the power to do something. So if unions organize in this way to really shut down global trade, that is very important. So yes, I think that the response has been greater, partially because the stakes are so much higher. When we started organizing and when we sailed the first time in 2008, the blockade was illegal, but it had not, and it should never have escalated to where it is today. I think, though, as a result of the level of brutality that is really, I think, unmatched in most of our lifetimes, coupled with the fact that it has been live streamed with technology, even though Israel has prevented journalists from getting in, Palestinian journalists, average Palestinians trying to survive a genocide in Gaza that are trying to live stream what they're going through. The world is listening. The world is now responding, and people are figuring out in their own communities what they can do. And so we have countless people contacting us about being on boats, but also, and my message back is like, great. We do certainly need some people on boats, but we need people mobilizing in their communities and on their streets to do what they can to support, because it is a global effort that needs the unions, it needs the people in the streets, it needs the people at universities, it needs the people that are on the boat that are going to be taking this direct action, it needs the lawyers, and so there are also legal actions. It all works together. So yes, the response is greater, but we need even more. Let's keep escalating.
Well, thank you so much. We have been talking with Huwaida Arraf. She is the co-founder of International Solidarity Movement, a Palestinian-led organization. And we're talking on 700th day of ongoing genocide in Gaza. It has devastated life in front of all. A genocide has never been live broadcasted as it is at this moment. Mainstream media is shying away from it. You hardly see any news about that. But Palestinians continue to speak up. Thank you so much, Huwaida Arraf. More than 50 ships with delegations from 44 countries are on the boat, on their way to break the Gaza blockade, taking with them food and medicine. Food and medicine are being blocked. It is a man-imposed famine. It has been declared a famine. People who have signed all the beautiful document about human rights and leading these countries are silent. But you can speak as Huwaida is speaking. Thank you so much for watching Muslim Network TV. Stay tuned for other programs.